All right, good morning. I am recording this in two locations. I'm screen capturing this solo play of Big Country Secret Agent, as well as allowing you a sneak peek over my shoulder into the inner sanctum of where I design, develop, write, compose, and do all my computer stuff on this tiny little desk with this tiny little monitor. Okay, so what we'll need for Big Country Secret Agent, the role-playing game, is a D20 and a D6. The D6 you really don't need for the role-playing game until your agent is trying to improve. But we will definitely need this for the solitaire game. So this is going to be a tutorial of the solitaire game. I'm not going to attempt to obviously play solo the role-playing game. That's meant for traditional play with the GM and players. So this will be the very first mission for all four of my agents. So let's talk about this. So my agents, I've made 4 agents. There are 4 classes in the game. So I made an agent of every class, and the solo game recommends 4 agents to make the game easier to succeed. So first we have Joe McGeary. He's an investigator. His best attribute is his senses, and that's what makes him an investigator. Wherever you put your A grade makes you that class. So he is an investigator. He works as an insurance investigator freelance in his covert job. He's a covert agent, so that is his day job, so to speak. He's a 30-ish male, about 5'9", 167 pounds. He wears glasses. He's bookish. He carries a handgun. He has forensics tools with him all the time. He drives a 1943 Ford. He makes about $140 a month. Most of that is going toward his living expenses. Okay, so that's Joe, the investigator. We have Sarah Watson, lady of leisure. All of her best attribute went into IQ. That's what allows her to be a gentleman or a lady. And again, that is technically going to be her cover. She's a lady of leisure / gambler. She's a 30-ish female, 5'4", 115 pounds. She has a 2-shot Derringer, and she has a chauffeured sedan. Her chauffeur's name is Alfred. She must maintain her cover with her chauffeur. Her chauffeur does not know that she is an agent. And she is, from her gambling winnings and from her trust fund, she makes $250 a month. Again, most of that goes toward keeping her lavish lifestyle up, right? However far that would be. It wouldn't be real lavish, but a single bedroom apartment somewhere with a chauffeur. Then we have Charles Holcomb, interrogator. Again, his number 1 attribute, his A attribute is communication, so it makes him an interrogator. He's an Esquire, attorney at law, so he's technically a really good really good at examining witnesses and cross-examination. An attorney at law. 30-ish male, 5'11", 190 pounds. He's heavy set, kind of a little overweight. He has his interrogation toolkit, penknife, among other things. Remember, they all have more than that. They all have a suit, and they may have cigarettes or gin or something like that, a bottle of gin or whatever. He makes $135 a month as an attorney at law. Last but not least is our brute, former soldier, Cole, security guard. His top grade is in his athleticism. That's what makes him a brute. He is a 30-ish male, 6'3", 220-pound ex-soldier. He has a handgun, and he drives a 1946 Olds Coupe 60 series Olds. Okay, so we have our agents. Now, how does this game work? Well, first we got to find out where our agents are at. So we find out where they've been sent to, or what might be happening. We're going to roll to find out what the city is. So the game has a paradigm. This is the solo game, actually, using 4 agents. And the paradigm is roll for the scenario, where and what and when. Then you start your first 48 hours for all your agents. They have a chance to, in 48 hours, develop a lead. If they develop a lead, they can continue to play to solve the investigation. If they fail to develop a lead, if all of your agents fail to develop a lead, that's it, game over, you lose. So someone has to develop a lead for you to continue to play. Once a lead is developed, or if you get 4 leads, you can pick the one you like the best, and that agent who discovered that lead becomes the top agent. He's the main agent. Everybody else becomes a backup agent, right? Okay, and then we begin to unfurl the plot threads, and we try to win the game. So let's go ahead and find out where we're at. So we get a courier delivers a telegram to all of these agents wherever they're at in the big country, and they're told to meet at the safe house in Fort Jefferson. So the first game ever, mission 1 for my crew, for my A team. Mission 1, we're in Fort Jefferson. Now that's a little hairy, because Fort Jefferson is a small city. Primarily, its economic reliance is on the military. It's a big military base. So the city supports the surrounding communities, support the military and their families, and the military might live in town, might also live on base. The point is, we're going to be dealing with potential threats involving maybe security at the military base, etc., etc. So now that I know we're in Jefferson, Fort Jefferson, we're going to go to Fort Jefferson. And here's Fort Jefferson. And it says look it up, read more about it if you'd like to. We could do that, but I'm going to leave that for people to discover. But I've just told you, Fort Jefferson is a city that primarily its economics, it's totally economically dependent upon the military base that's in the neighborhood. So now we're going to make a D6 roll to see what they're told to investigate or what crime has been committed. 4 says black market ring. So we got a black market. So we're told to go to Fort Jefferson and investigate a black market ring, right? And what does that generally involve with military, with soldiers? That is soldiers, right? Selling U.S. surplus weaponry, etc. Not good, and that means probably. Maybe they're involved with mine acts and they're selling military-grade weapons or something on the black market, in which mine acts, or maybe the soldier that is selling these items on the black market is a mine acts operative. Remember, mine acts is the enemy organization we are trying to counter. Okay, so there we go. We're in Fort Jefferson. There's a black market ring. So now we're going to go to work. So they all arrive at the safe house in Fort Jefferson. They meet up and they immediately set out. Now I can pair them, which makes it safer, right? I could pair them in 3s. I could pair them in 1 bundle. I could pair them in pairs. I could put them out in a 3 and a 1. Or I can put them out all alone. If you put them in a pair or 3s or a bundle, none of them can be removed from play in the first 48 hours. So they're safer. However, I restrict my chance to develop a lead that we can then pursue to win the game. So the more investigators I put in the field, the better chance I have of developing a lead, which lets us continue to play. However, if a removal comes up on their develop a lead chart, they're removed from play. Cole could be eliminated before we even start the big investigation. So they arrive at Fort Jefferson. In the first 48 hours, they're going to set out to try to find a good lead, because that first 48 hours in any investigation is paramount, right? Who the heck, how did they find out about this black market ring? These people are all going to have to head out and examine their things. I'm going to do them one at a time, which is dangerous because they could be removed from play pretty quick. So we're going to start, though. Joe McCready arrives as an investigator in his 1943 Ford, and he basically says, hey, man, I'm setting out, and I'm going to go see what I can learn. I'll meet you guys back here tonight, right? So we get 1 roll per day. Joel McCreary is going out first. So McCreary, we go down, and he's an investigator, so we go down to develop lead. Season. We should find out what time of the year it is. 3. It is summer. So it's summertime. It has no effect on game, but it gives us a sense of, the season for role-playing, etc. So, it might be kind of hot here at Fort Jefferson, and maybe there's some gripes by Lady Sarah Watson as she's irritated by how hot it is. Maybe she's scantily clad, walking around, barely dressed, sweating, right? Becomes a little bit of an agitation to the brute, Cole, right? Okay, so first 48 hours, we're looking at our investigator first. So he gets in his car and he heads out into the city of Fort Jefferson to learn something. So he has to develop a lead, and to do that, he needs to check his IQ against a challenge A danger. This is not going to be easy. His IQ is a B. So we're going to go in here, and it's a challenge, not an action. So we're going to come in here, we're going to go to the challenge chart, which is the most dangerous chart. Challenges are usually when something dangerous happens to your character, or the character is doing something very dangerous, like diving out of a car at full speed, or happens to you, like a bomb blowing up and you're trying to evacuate the blast radius before you suffer too much damage. So danger here versus IQ. As he goes into town, this tells me that he's going to get himself maybe into potentially dangerous scuffle, etc. His IQ is a B, and we're looking at the danger, which is an A. He needs a 17 or more to succeed at developing this lead. This could be very dangerous for him. 13, he fails. So when he fails, we have to go to the problems, because he failed. We got to look at a problem. What happened to him in the first 24 hours? 3, BC radial tires are not the most common tires. So lucky for him, he finds out that there are tire tracks where they were supposedly exchanged at an old dusty parking lot. And he gets in there, gets out with his forensics tools, and he investigates the tire tracks. He then tracks back and looks through his catalogs and realizes the tires are the most popular tire in the country. Therefore, it's not really a lead. And so his first day is shot. So he's done. First day, no lead, right? So again, first day, day 1, Joe, no luck, right? As he failed his role. All right, so Sarah Watson heads out from the safe house with her chauffeured car, and she's going to do some investigating to try to build a lead. And let's look at her. She is a lady. She's a independently wealthy person. Okay, and she needs to check her athleticism versus action. So this could be, and again, normally, generally you're going to find that the solitaire game puts all of your classes using a trait that wouldn't be their best trait, like him using his IQ. Excuse me, not his IQ. Well, yeah, him using his IQ is not bad. But Cole, for instance, I can't remember what his is, but he most likely won't have the perfect grade for this. So she's using her athleticism versus an action, and all an action is that means she would have done something, like try to pick a lock or try to bluff a bartender or maybe win a poker game or something. So she's doing something as an action, and it's C. Now her athleticism, and it would be active here, so it wouldn't so much be bluffing, it would be active. She's an F, so this is not going to be good for her. The action chart, F versus the C grade, is 15 and up for her to develop a lead. So this team may be in deep trouble if somebody can't develop a lead. So we need to roll a 15 or up for her. 15, she does it. She develops a lead. Now we roll to see what lead. So that allows us, if we want, to start the game. 4, she develops high card wins. So she ends up in a debate, say with a bartender, and says, I really need to know the name of that kid that bought that hand grenade that was arrested last week. I need to know, what happened to the kid that was arrested for carrying around a hand grenade, and he bought that hand grenade from somebody, and the bartender says, go jack yourself. And so she makes a bet, says, hey, high card wins, right? She sets down maybe $25, or something, and says, hey, listen, double, bet, high card wins. Anyway, point is, she's a gambler, and boom, high card wins. She gets that information basically from him on a gamble. And she is, right now, we can stop and immediately start the investigation with an intact team, but she becomes the lead investigator, right? These guys all become backups. I'm not certain I want her. She has an IQ of A, she has a senses of C, she has a communication of B, her health is a D, her athleticism is an F. So she gets into a fist fight or a gunfight, she's in deep trouble, right? But let's go ahead and try one more before we move on. I'd like to have another lead just in case. So let's go ahead and do our interrogator, right? Our interrogator, where is he at? Our interrogator needs senses versus health attribute as he interrogates somebody. Oh, my Lord, his senses are an F. Wait, let me look him over here. What is the brute? The brute is The Brute says communication versus challenge. His calm is we're gonna go Cole. You know what? I'm gonna put Holcomb with the Brute. Holcomb actually does not have a vehicle. Cole does, so they're gonna go out together. And Cole and the Brute and Charles are going out together. And Cole is communication versus B danger. His calm is B. So B versus B on challenge. The problem is the challenge chart is the hardest chart in the game. But he's a B. So B versus B is 16. Shite. Shite. This is dangerous. All right, 16. This is very hard to get a lead here. 15's not going to do it. So they're done. So 2 of my groups have failed. She's the only lead. If I did not have a lead, I lose the game. They basically wouldn't be able to get a lead, and eventually all those military weapons would be out in the world. And meanwhile, we also wouldn't know who the leader of that ring is, and they would probably keep selling military arms. Fortunately, we have a lead. Sarah Watson, day 1. So first, fortunately, we get to do this twice. So if you fail, you have 48 hours. You get 2 rolls. We succeeded on day 1. Cole and Charles don't get a lead. Joel didn't get a lead. They come back to the safe house in the evening, and Sarah, they're all complaining that they're just not finding any luck. And Sarah smiles and says, well, you got to leave it to a lady. And I have a lead, and they're all going to go to work on it. And her lead, remember, was high card wins. All that means is she used a high card to solicit information. We don't know what that information was, but it was enough to start the game. So now we have 7 days to win the game. So day 1, Sarah gets a lead, and Sarah is now our main agent for the and nobody else was lost, fortunately. So Sarah's our main agent. Day 1, remember, we get 7 days to solve this. So day 1, what goes down here for our crew of agents is that this is day 1 of a 7-day period in which we can solve this crime or stop this threat. So the first day, it's a chance to win the game already. So 20 is a chance to win the game. 20. The agent has already identified the plan, discovered the guilty persons, or infiltrated the Minax hideaway. So she, with that high card wins, she actually finds out who's responsible and where they're storing their cache of military weapons. She already knows. The problem is, do they have enough information to go in guns blazing and try to take this guy down? The agent can now move to stop the plot right here, right now. The agent must make a successful class attribute check versus the challenge. Her class attribute is A, IQ, versus the challenge of a danger A. So she would be using her IQ, A versus A. She would need a 16 and up to win the game right here. We're done. We've won our first mission. However, if she fails, game over. That's it. They would kick the doors in, guns blazing, or whatever her IQ, whatever her plan was to take down this bad guy. It would fail. They would all end up ultimately losing. The bad guy would escape or whatever, and with the weapons, or they would all end up in the hospital or all killed or whatever. However, I don't explicitly say in the game that agents are ever killed, but you can decide whether removal or failure means death to your agents. They can die if their health in the game drops below F. Then they can be considered dead, but again, you don't have to consider them dead if you don't want to. So if there's a chance on day 1, with her IQ, she comes up with a plan. Guys, we can't call them. Remember, this is a black ops organization, so they can't call in the police. They can't call in other agencies. They are not supposed to exist. They got to do this themselves. So she could go in undercover as a buyer, and then they're supposed to, on her signal, kick the door in, come in guns blazing, try to take out his bodyguards, etc. That could be her plan. But we need a 16 or up, and if they fail, that's it. Game is over. But I didn't score, so you have to score points to win. 20 gives us a chance to win, but there are no points for this. So that means we would have lost the day and not have enough points, we already lost the day. We didn't get any evidence. So do I dare? No, we're gonna go ahead and keep playing. And day 1, we know who and where but it's not enough. We got to keep investigating. We're going to go day 2, try to gather up enough plot points to win the game. So what happens after that? As she identifies them, they go in, they prove it, they go, yep, this is the place. But man, he's surrounded by 15 armed guards. He's got his stuff in there. We're going to have to come up with a way to get these guys. Okay, so 15 on our solo book. 15 states, this is day 2. The main agent, that's her, checks in on some evidence with the BCI lab tech. Her senses versus danger B. Her senses are C, danger B. Damn, another tough one. C versus, she needs a 17 and up to do this. Oh, it rolled off the 20. She fails. So the lab tech, right, she does not discover in time that the lab tech is a double agent. And it costs her IQ damage as she is poisoned. And she does earn a plot point. But her IQ goes down to a B now. So Sarah... So a double agent poisons her, IQB, but she gets 1 plot point. Day 3, unbelievable. And that agent escapes after she discovers it, but too late, as she has been poisoned by the lab tech. Unbelievable. What a dangerous love. They've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They got 5 days left to score enough points to win. Day 3. 3. One of the backup agents gets into a car chase and must make an attack versus danger B check to catch the bad guy for 2 points. So, who has the best attack rate? Well, that would be Cole the Brute driving his 1946 Olds. He's going to roll A versus a danger. It's danger grade of B again. So A versus B is 15 and up for Cole to successfully catch this guy in a car chase. 13. He does not, folks. This is not going well for them. Which means he fails to catch him and does not score plot points. So Cole loses suspect car chase. They're in deep trouble now, day 4. They need to roll another 20 if they want a chance to win this, I think. They're kind of screwed unless they get a day back. There are things on the schedule, on the chart that can get a day back. They can be so successful they don't lose a day. But man, not looking good as Sarah Watson with this lead. Not great. They actually know where they're at, but they don't know how they're going to possibly bring them down without calling in the military. They can't do that. So here we go. We're going to roll again. This is day number 4. 13. Let's hope this is a good one. 13. The backup agents are carefully following an informant in hopes he'll lead them to the main suspect. However, they are made and the informant loses them in a busy street. Shh. Day 4. Backups made. They're burned and they escape. Day 5. We only got 3 days left. 5, 6, and 7. And this is going to be a miserable failure for my first mission for my A team. 13. Oh my God, they get him again, lose him again. Backups. And there's some of these you don't get to make a roll. It's just that's the luck of the draw. They're made, again, they think they've caught up to him. He makes them again and escapes in a busy street. Day 6, this team is pretty much screwed. 1. Oh Lord. 1. One backup agent, while investigating an apartment, gets in a gunfight. That agent must secure, so it's going to be the Brute again, because I want to use, I get to choose my backup agent. I'm going to use the guy with the gun and the A. So it's a gunfight, and it is a firefight at close range. So it's going to be A at close range. A at close range, he needs a 5 and up to win this scenario. 6, woo, plus 1 for his class. So 7, he does succeed, and he doesn't score any points, but he's not removed from play. If he had failed that roll, the Brute would be in the hospital with gunshot wounds. But he does succeed. Gunfight. Success. No points. This is it, folks. Day 7. They have to roll a 20 to win the game. And then a 20 would allow them for a chance to win the game. If not, in their 7 days, they're not going to be able to stop this guy before he escapes with the weapons in the crates and gets out of town, and they've lost him. 16, not going to win it, but let's find out what 16 is on day 7. The main agent is thrown from a balcony. Oh, Sarah is banging on the door of a suspect. The suspect lets her in and then engages her in a fight, picks her up, and throws her off the balcony onto the city street below after losing a fist fight. The agent must make a health versus danger D. Her health is D, so DD, another danger check for Sarah. Man. She needs a 16 or up or will suffer a broken arm. 18, so she lands on the canopy, bounces and rolls onto the pavement, but fortunately lands and doesn't break an arm. And her AT is not reduced because of it. Her AT could have been reduced if that had happened, which could have ultimately removed her from play. She would have dropped below an F. She would have ultimately found herself with maybe a shattered arm in surgery in the hospital. Game over. As it is, she survives the butt kicking and the throwing from the balcony. Unfortunately, they all go back to the safe house in their 7 days of play, and they have not been able to find a way to stop this guy. And by the time they go back to do what they have to do, he's cleared out with his trucks and his crates of military-grade black market stuff, and they have gone somewhere. So day 7, Sarah beaten up, and they lose suspects. This now becomes a cold case. So I could come back to this at some point. So this now becomes it's failed, but it could be a cold case. I could always revisit it later if I want to. So mission 1, our agents are told via telegram, wherever they were at in the world, get to Fort Jefferson to the safe house, meet up with the other agents. We've got a black market ring, a soldier selling U.S. surplus weaponry. It's summertime, it's hot. Joe can't get a lead on day 1. Sarah manages to get a lead by winning a gambling trick against a bartender. And the rest of them say, let's just follow that lead. They immediately, due to the bartender giving them information, they know who and where, but as they scout it out, they decide it's a bad chances that we're going to come out of this alive. They decide to do more work and try to find a better way to get him. Unfortunately, she's poisoned. Her IQ is affected. She does score a point for that, but that ain't enough. Cole loses a suspect in a car chase. The backups are made while on surveillance on day 4. Day 5, the backups are made again on surveillance, and those are 2 suspects that they could have learned something from, maybe scored points because they couldn't. Finally, there's a gunfight for Cole in an apartment. He wins the gunfight. That just helps him avoid being removed from the game. And then day 7, Sarah, as she approaches the main suspect's apartment, is lured in and hijacked. They get in a fist fight. She is thrown from a balcony. She fortunately avoids any serious hurt or any hospital time. Unfortunately, it's too late as they pack up those trucks sometime in this 7-day period, and they leave town. So they could have left after day 2 here when she found out who they were. Who knows when they packed up? These guys were so incompetent. Who knows? So we only are looking to get points and find out what challenges are. You have to make sense, right? You've got to fill in the details. What happened with Joe? How did high card wins? What did she learn from that? Well, I don't know. Oh, wait, yeah, I could make it up. Or I could roll and find out what she learned. And I learned where and who. And they just did not have the firepower to go in guns blazing. And this group, Sarah, Charles Holcomb, interrogator, Joe McGeary, investigator, and Cole, the ex-soldier security guard brute, they failed miserably in their very first mission. And that, folks, is a tutorial of how Big Country Secret Agent Solitaire game works, using the characters and the rules and the charts from the role-playing game. So, anyway, thanks for watching. I've shot this from a screen capture plus from the camera, so I'll edit it together, make it interesting to watch. Thanks for watching. Everybody have a wonderful, wonderful day. Goodbye.